of lanes.
Yes.
Up towards the top side, you have a Sion into Aatrox. Now, you coming in with kills or early pressure, not usually the deal in this matchup. Orianna into LeBlanc, nope, that's not the case either. And down towards the bot lane, you have a Senna and you have a Tahm Kench. Now, if Yuumi just make sure that she is in auto attack range at the beginning to take care of the minion and waves and all this, it'll be very difficult. And because of this, there's so much pressure on Pulp in this. This whole game is almost in Pulp's hands on the counters, because if he does not get ahead while having laners that can't get,
stay safe, yeah, exactly.
They're safe themselves, and because of it, you have to utilize it.
Okay, Pulp is a long-time Karthus play. He struggled thus far in Division 1, but this is a comfort pick for him. See whether he can pull it off this game, and I've got to call out some very distinct summoners as well for Dusty. That is Ignite for LeBlanc, not Teleport. That is a Ghost on Venza, who is trusting in the Yuumi to keep him alive as well. They know how they want to play with this Yuumi. They know what they want to do with the backline disruptors diving in with that cat on top of them. And
that's the thing. Once you get any sort of priority from the side of Dusty, your game plan is to make Pulp's life hell. You want to go in with this 2v2 in from the mid lane with LeBlanc, with the side of Lee Sin to take care of him. You could even see Pulp, he's opted in for the flash. Usually, we would see Smite and Exhaust or an offensive summon sets of these Karthus. This time around, there's too much kill pressure in the Dusty composition when they start moving around looking for this Karthus. Because of this, you need to be on the defensive.
And if Singularity can survive and not fall massively behind, they have got Tahm Kench and Senna and Orianna and a Sion in front of them. They have got ways to potentially stay alive.
I have a thing to say about Senna and Tahm Kench. I don't think that lane is as good as people make it out to be. I think people are remembering too fondly back in the past with Tahm Kench that could actually eat you. Now, I think against an enchanter like Yuumi, it doesn't matter as much.
Sure.
Because even if the Senna does get, I mean, there's no hook, there's no sort of engage from the Yuumi, right? So it's just going to be about taking care of staying yourself safe.
So feel free to correct me here, because I'm certainly no bot lane specialist, but like obviously with the changes to Tahm Kench, obviously the new Abyssal Dive on the W now, I feel that like Senna Tahm Kench is more aggressive than it used to be, because Senna lands a slow into a root and then Tahm Kench just dives underneath you and tries to knock you up, and it's more aggro than the defensive backbone it used to be, as you're kind of calling out. And is that something that's still kind of okay and playable, or are you still just not a fan in general?
I think that's okay and playable, and here we have it.
Yeah, I certainly gave it a go, but missed that time, and that's a bit sad.
And I think that was really crucial that highlights this for you, is the fact that they need to be the one having control of the lane. Because Tahm Kench, once he uses his Abyssal Dive while in a bush, the marker doesn't actually appear for the enemies that he's now trying to come in with a knockup. So it's really crucial that you have pressure in the lane. Because of this, the bot lane didn't leash. Pulp started topside. The bot lane of Dusty had to leash, and therefore they didn't get control. Now, with a lane like Yuumi and Jhin, I think Yuumi should actually not be on Jhin all too often unless she's trying to hit a prowling projectile, because you should be able to take control of the lane by just auto-attacking minions, by stacking your support item on the enemy Tahm Kench, and make sure that they don't get to have the pressure in lane as easily as they would like to, because stopping a Yuumi, it's really difficult with these two champions.
And thus far, so good. The Karthus gets full clear, gets the Scuttle Crab, feeling pretty happy. Gonna have a little bit of a scout here to see whether there's anything available. There's not. He'll get the reset, and Karthus survives first clear. Good news, considering some of these early games have been wrong for Singularity on that front already.
Brilliant even, but it's not only just the first clear, right? We're looking to take care of objectives. We're looking for the level 6, then looking for plays with the lanes, having them integrated. And that's also a difficult point, right? Because you can already see it. Top lane was just pushed in by Aleph. Mid lane was pushed in by Backlone, which means when you're looking to commit plays, you don't actually have all the tools in your composition right now to make use of finding these plays.
Got to see whether they can survive to the point where they can kind of make it happen. But obviously, Dusty, Viking has been a key component to a lot of their early game success. Look back to the Rek'Sai game where he smashed open bot lane a couple of weeks ago. He's on the Lee Sin. He's got himself some playmaking lanes with some setup for him to work, particularly say that mid lane once level 6 and stuff comes through. And do need to keep my eye on this Lee Sin to see whether that proactivity they've drafted for comes to some fruition. Looking for a wraparound right now.
That's the thing. Backlone, chain connects.
Oh, it does land. He's got to flash out. Viking lands the Sonic Wave there, and that's just to be a dead Muta.
And that's why we always talk about LeBlanc and Lee Sin as a combo. Once that chain comes down and you're rooted up, following up with a Sonic Wave, it's just so easy. The base damage Lee Sin just so high, and it becomes quite easy solidifying the kill.
You just got to call it out as well. You saw where that wave was in that lane.
Tatooine.
Oh, Tatooine's in a bit of spother, but he's got himself a Soul Furnace shield, gets a decent knock up with the Decimating Smash, and gets a bit of a trade back. So he's mostly all right then. Got a Biscuit in inventory as well, so will survive for now.
We say that, but have a look at the wave state, because right now it's pushing into him. But the good thing for him right now is that he actually saved his TP. And because of this, it was all right for him to take a trade like this. Alov had just put in the top side, he TP'd back. Now he's back to half HP, which means that now when Tatooine TP's in, he's going to be full HP, and he's going to be able to take more control of this lane because Alov's been put in an unfavorable position in terms of HP.
Yeah, and what a surprise Tatooine comes back with all the cloth armors he can afford alongside Ruby Crystal, because he wants to not continue to take all those Dark Blades to the face. It's generally an unpleasant experience, and Viking hanging around again.
Flash is up on Tatooine, no ultimate though.
Oh, does have to flash. Sonic Wave still comes through, and Viking just being all over the place. The moment I asked for him to be proactive, that's 2 ganks straight after that. Bot lane though, Porp lands that wall and starts getting a root in place with the last embrace. Venza has to burn the Ghost, has to burn the Flash, but does get out alive.
Yeah, Porp hovering bot side. Once again, we talked about it. The top side of the map, the mid side of the map for Singularity, it's just not a tool in their composition to play for in the early game. But with this bot side pressure, I wonder, can they get Drake in the mid lane? No Flash.
Chain actually lands, forced the shockwave that Muta then uses to force Backland back and break the chain, and the ward over the back there from Viking. He was really looking for that. Porp was on vision brief there from the control ward, but does get out.
But Muta definitely needs some help in this situation. You can see it's a freeze for Backlund. It's a minion wave pushing into him. No ultimate on the LeBlanc real quick, and there we have it. Yeah, Porp helping out his mid laner. He does not have the HP to try and push in this wave himself, and therefore needs a little bit.
And so the last time he didn't get the help there, that wave got frozen just towards that the wall close towards Backland, which is what my brother Nymera calls the Aurelia kill zone, because you can just run people down from that point if you control the wave there. Still left here with Dusty with a slight gold advantage right now. One successful kill gank, one that's blown a flash, but I think I still want to see Dusty get a bit more out of these early lanes, probably.
I mean, so far, punishing the LeBlanc, or not, punishing the Orianna with no flash is definitely a go-to. Now, having pushed in the mid lane, having a stack wave for the bot side as well, and Porp up towards the top side, I think you just want to take care of this Drake instead, and yes, that is going to be the call. What's great about this is that they're doing it right before Rift Herald spawns. So if they're able to secure up this objective, and they're able to, with their priority, take care of the top side river, there's no cross map that Singularity can go for in terms of neutral objectives.
See, I asked these questions and you just answer them like, well, here's what they can do to get that advantage. You see, that's what a great color cast. You're answering all the questions I have in life and League.
We've talked about these comments initialized.
I know, look, I'm just a positive guy.
I don't want them.
Look, you're just afraid, mate. You've got to deal with my general good cheer. It's a general factor. Still, that Rift Herald is about to spawn. And as you kind of called out, that's probably what Dusty wants to try and set up for as Backland lands another chain.
I think the only thing you can do with Singularity right now is just force Venza away from the turret and try and get as many resources as you can. So I would love if they placed Porp into the bot lane. Actually, scratch that. He doesn't have any mana. There's literally nothing he can do. So Venza should just... Well, he does have a blue buff. That's brilliant. Okay, great hover observer. So yeah, there we have it. He is going to move down towards the bot side. And Venza just needs to be forced away from this wave. Just make sure that he just not get any of it. Is that a win in the grand scheme for Singularity? No, it's not. But it's the best thing you can do in the situation you're presented with.
You remember the last time Senna was meta? The reason people like Aphelios were very happy when Senna stayed bot lane for Round Herald? She just doesn't take turret plates fast. She's just not the quickest at it. Porp will take the opportunity, though, to invade. And he is doing pretty well in terms of getting some of that CS. Backland is going to spot him. Tom Kench will be around. There's the chains landing. Porp flashes and breaks the chain straight away, avoids the deadly flourish, but it is the summoner burnt.
And that's once again why in this matchup Porp had to go for the flash instead of one of the other summoner spells. Nice little wall to have there to spot him out, and it does allow for Viking to get that little scuttle for himself, but you can see it in between the two junglers. Porp is ahead in the farm department, which he should be rightfully in this matchup. Kantos has the fastest clear in the jungle.
Yeah. And he's done very well to get that farm up, but it's come at the cost, of course, of Viking getting that early dragon, getting the early ganks, getting the early herald. Of course, that's helped out by the lane pressure as Yepe did attempt another abyssal dive, but doesn't land this time. And that is the opportunity cost, and Singularity basically taken the bet saying, look, we know we're going to seed some of these objectives, we just don't think it's necessarily going to be enough. And Dusty, you've got the tools right now to try and break this game open a bit wider than it is.
So what do we do now with this Rift Herald? Because currently we're not presented with a specific lane where the plates have just fallen completely. You could argue the mid lane with the LeBlanc into the Orianna would be a good place to go for, but it's also the easiest lane for the rest of the members of Singularity to collapse on and try and get help with. So it's going to be curious to see how they will form their point of attack with this Rift Herald and what the response will be from Singularity.
Because Singularity have got very easy tools to respond with as well. Senna and Karthus press are from literally the other side of the map, and they can be involved. So Dusty do need to be pretty aware when they are setting up for things like their Herald. You've got to feel that they're not overdoing it, because there is some turnaround potential there.
It's going to be difficult if they do it towards the top side, though. You can already see it. Bramble Vest for Tatooine. Does have the Barmy Cinder as well.
Well, there's the mid lane attempt from Backline, just hopping forward. The control wards in the river, definitely in Dusty's favor. The gold, interesting right now, actually towards Singularity's favor. Of course, there is the Herald, which will likely turn that around again. And his eyes on Viking to see where this Herald ends up going in the next few minutes.
And this could be the way to do it. Get bot lane priority with Venser, move Viking around with the Yuumi on top of him. And one thing I will say about the Dusty bot lane as well, it has been very uncharacteristic seeing Venser on a champion like Jhin. I'm so used to seeing him on Aphelios and on Jinx, and I'm surprised he's been able to hold his own ground. But now with the mid lane priority, with Viking and the Yuumi on top of him, they are just going to collapse on top side.
Here comes Porp, though, who's around the back here, throws down the wall. They want to try and trade this out, but that is a 4v3. So 4v2 is actually the three. Of course, Senna made me a little confused there. Muta's over the wall, misses the shockwave. That could be critical. Big damage over on the back end, and Viking so low as well. Porp can't finish anybody off. Muta flash 4 gets the shutdown onto LeBlanc. Now Aleph in trouble. Porp throwing down that Requiem from across the wall. Yepe going to Abyssal dive over the back onto Viking, taken so low. The tongue lashes coming through, secure another kill. FGG left a little out to dry, but of course can rejoin the Aatrox to give the zoomies, but he's eaten up alive. Where's he going to throw in? That far forward flash for the kill with the Iron Spike Whip, and Yepe in trouble now as well. And Singularity tried for the skirmish, but just can't quite land it where it matters. Aleph still chasing here, thinking about going under the turret, but won't quite make it. 4 for 2, I believe, in Dusty's favor. Well, sorry, 3 for 2 in favor of Dusty, because of course, First Blood came through a little earlier.
Yeah, kills once again did go over to Aleph, so he is actually going to become incredibly scary on this Aatrox. He already gets some extra healing on his ultimate. Having the Yuumi on top of him is going to be even more scary. Yeah, there we have it. Unsuccessful Herald attempt on the top side means that Viking, he's forced to use it in lane. You can still look for it though, nonetheless, but it will be traded with the Drake on the other side of the map if they choose to go for it. You can see Porp, he's already in a position to just start up the Drake immediately.
And honestly, that play got very close to disaster for Dusty there. You saw, if that shockwave had landed, I think 2 more people die there quite easily. But of course, Yuumi plus Aatrox this point of the game. Turns out there's quite a lot of healing, quite a lot of sustained damage.
Can he steal it?
Ooh, gonna try and get in, can't quite get there in time. The curtains are still cold though, and Porp is being chunked. Viking wanted to come forwards, does do so, but now he's gonna have a wall of pain in front of him that's gonna make it difficult to cross. Yepe breaks the thick skin, and that's about it. They get out a couple ultimates there, Bend, from the side of Venser, of course, with the curtain call.
But that play also just showed the composition that Singularity had drafted for themselves, right? We were talking about it. It's not necessarily any winning lanes. Venser can just get what we want by Yepe.
He's got a flash, he's got a ghost, he's going to have to use at least one of them, maybe 2.
Oh, okay.
Gets out and, of course, can't quite get in range. There's Yepe, no flash, no ignite.
My apologies for Yepe had the ult to connect on that last tongue lash. Obviously, did he use it in the exchange towards the top side? To bring it back to my point, though, Singularity has done really well with their composition in terms of, we talked about their lanes. There's no necessarily winning lanes. At best, you go even. But they were holding off very nice in terms of shutting down plays of Dusty, making sure that they can't really use...
Oh, he really wanted to get that through before people came around. The shockwave's pretty good onto 3, but I think Muta still just dies. No, because here comes Tatooine, and the wall of pain from Porp is phenomenal, but it's not going to be enough. It's already Muta who's died. Now, what does Dusty do at the back end of this? Porp gets chunked, has to flash. He's going to be in Infernal Chains and gets nearly taken out backland. Not quite down to Dawning Shadow comes over the top, but no one dead on the side of Dusty. You just about get away with that very deep dive.
Aleph still has the ultimate, so they need to watch out in terms of going too far forward. I think Tatooine will be forced to give it the wave unless Yepe has something to say about it.
Porp's hitting on vision. He needs to be super afraid. Backlane takes a lot of damage though. Abyssal dive does come through for Yepe. They can't interrupt it. Aleph is here. That is the Requiem coming through, and there's no interrupt. Porp survives with the Devour coming through. Aleph has to get over the wall and does survive. Backlane super low as well, and Dusty get out on blinking health bars, and it's only 1 kill in their favor, but they do get it.
Yeah, but remember, they also had to invest Spiky from Singularity's side on the other side of the map. It is Venza. He's not picking up plates, but he's taking up significant damage on the turret in a bit, and yeah, they have it. Forced to use the teleport from Tatooine as well, so they're just going to be changing up the lane assignments. I'm not too sure if they can stop the Rift Herald that Viking is currently doing. Having 2 members up here from your bot lane with Aleph backing would be pivotal in stopping him now. You also have the mid lane move from Muta if it's needed.
Gonna try and threaten him off, but there it is. Can they land the steal? Yep, they did go in there, and he doesn't quite manage to get it. But they're gonna force them away from the eye. So in the end, while it's the taken Herald, I don't think anybody's gonna secure it now.
But yeah, they're just gonna be forced to give it up. It's a Herald that doesn't go over to the side of Singularity, but it might also been a bit too overforced from the side of Dusty. Them having that bot lane, or them having the Jhin down in the bot lane, him not having recalled yet, and now finally having moved up to the top side. Now you could have gone for potential Herald or tried to contest it, but you got a bit too greedy or a bit too proactive, rather, and Singularity stopped you from taking the eye.
So it's about 1,500 gold in favor of Dusty. A couple of those aggressive plays in the blue side jungle both times have netted them some small advantages. But my question to you, Gilborg, is do you think this is enough considering where Singularity's comp eventually will end up with the champions they have?
It's definitely on the right track right now. Currently, yes. With the composition, you could not have asked for much more in the early game. Am I sure it's going to beat the composition of Dusty in the late game? I think they're going to have a difficult time with dealing with Yuumi on certain champions.
Yes. Like
the LeBlanc and like the Aatrox as well. So healing reduction for sure will be the name of the game. I don't think the Bramble Vest will be enough from the side of Tatooine. And in the end, it will just be execution-based, because so far, as we already said, they've gotten what they wanted out of the early game.
Yeah, the walking hospital that is Yuumi plus Aatrox and Gordrinker is pretty difficult to cut through in terms of healing potential. Of course, Singularity with the likes of the Son of the Orianna, the Karthus, you know, are all going to scale just fine themselves, but they are going to have to, as you say, find some way to prevent the Aatrox just running rampant over the backline, especially if you can get through some of that disengage available.
And right now, I'm not sure if I agree with the point of attack from Dusty being on Sion. I think it should be on the top side.
Backlund might just be able to do it 1v1. Muta's in a lot of trouble. Flash away from the shockwave, and that's just a solo kill, surely. Yep, there it goes through, and Backlund picks up his 3rd kill of the game.
Brilliant. Oh, it does connect.
No, he lands it. Flash forward and just gets the kill. Easy as you like. Dusty pulling the trigger in 2 separate lanes and coming away with 2 kills.
Yeah, brilliant. Individuality showing up from the side of Dusty. Solo on the top side, and then Viking hitting a clutch Q. What Spiky did have the flash, but didn't use it in time.
Yeah, it does unfortunately get tagged, doesn't get out, and that's a nice little play there as Venza gets slowed. I don't think he's in that much danger.
But in the grand scheme of things, it also means you get the setup for the Drake. It's spawning in 30 seconds as well. As we take a look on the top side, Muta without vision pushing forward here and just getting caught off guard by the chain. Great read by Backlund predicting the sidestep. And then initially it looks weird flashing the shockwave, but you see how much a QW damage actually does on the LeBlanc as well.
Yes, it does, and it does get the kill. And this is the mid lane play where just a little late on that flash, and Dusty, feel free to pull the trigger and do so.
I have to say one thing. I don't like Senes so far. I genuinely feel like it has been a bait pick for a lot of our AD carries. Even when they're winning, I just see like traditional AD carries doing better.
You know, I was going to bring that up myself, and I completely agree with you. It's been a little suspect thus far. And yes, the Dawning Shadow is pretty strong. Yes, it enables some picks in the bot lane, but I'm not sure the value of being able to pick some of these other supports has necessarily come through. And if you are farming Sinner, it's not necessarily worked as well as the Dragon to talk about, and forced to flash over the wall. Can't stick around to contest this Dragon. That will be 2nd Drake to Dusty, and the Summoner burned from the jungler. And
that's the thing, once again, the lanes right now of Singularity are great at soaking up the pressure that comes out from Dusty, but they're not good at applying their own pressure. Like, the Sion will always be pushed in, he will not be dived, but that is just going to mean that you cannot get on these objectives, right? There is no way for you to, realistically speaking, get good control around them. You would be relying on a steal, but let's be honest, Karthus is not going to flack and drag over a wall, steal the Drake and flash out, right? It's very much a suicide mission if that's what you're going for.
Yeah, it's ultimate spellbook, but with basic abilities.
Yeah.
Karthus just gets Jarvan EQ, of course you do. That would certainly be a play for Karthus, as Aleph does pick up a 2nd tower for Dusty, and map beginning to get a little smaller now for Singularity, and I am kind of aware that is now Viking, a 2-1-2. We've already talked about Aleph, 2-0-1, very scary. Aatrox especially up that significant amount of CS, and Backlund at 3-1-1. There does hit a breaking point where, yes, you can soak pressure, but that's just not pressure. That's like a whole damn explosion. You hit one basic ability from Backlund and people just die.
That's the thing with the Singularity composition that we haven't mentioned yet, right? It's the fact that you can't keep soaking pressure forever. At the last time, that sponge is going to get fully watered up, and you're going to be sitting at the Nexus instead, and it's just going to start pouring at one point. So you have to release this pressure at some point. It's when you're feeling comfortable fighting around the Karthus, but once again, you are playing a reactive game where it's often Singularity making a move, and then you reacting to that move.
Still, they've managed to get to 1 item apiece right now, staying relatively okay. They've now slipped from that relatively even gold state to a significant gold lead for Dusty at the 20-minute mark. That's about 4,500 gold, which is a big deal. And none of these turrets under threat right now for Dusty, and they are beginning to take control of the jungle. And that could prove problematic with the champions that will be hiding in the darkness.
Yeah, but you can already see a lot of the members of Dusty is already acknowledging the win condition of Singularity. Hexstringer has been picked up by Viking, which means getting this magic resist down is going to get more difficult for the members of Singularity, like the Orianna, like Pop and the Karthus, to take care of you. And even then further into the game, like third item, the magic resist options for this Aatrox are phenomenal. You can go Force of Nature to get the extra movement speed, which is already great with the Yuumi paired up on you, or you could go the Spirit Visage route, where you can already get increased healing with the Yuumi, with the Gorgeringer, with your ultimate. Like, there's a lot of good options that you can go for.
By that point, you know, the Aatrox health bar is just going to look more like an EQ in a club, right? It's going up and down with the beat of every Q. And speaking of Qs, that's a lot of Dark Blades on the board. Takes so much damage. That is just foul stuff. 3-0-1 now on the Aatrox. He's got the World Ender running. Venza might be in trouble in mid lane. Gets devoured, probably shoved under tower here. Does so, flashes back out, takes a lot of damage from the Piercing Darkness into the Dawning Shadow and does go down to Tui. Is unfortunately low in a 2v1 on the bot side. Flashes, but will not survive. There's a Yuumi on top of Viking, and they get another kill towards this bot lane. There's Backlund, takes a lot of damage. He's going to get run down here by Spiky, possibly. So many slows. He's attacking the clone. And Backlund gets away.
Yeah, great movie.
Does Porp's ultimate make the sound of the seismic charge from Django Fett?
Well, so far it hasn't looked like it, I'll tell you that much. It's been more like of a slight pew when it's finally gone down. Have there actually been one that hasn't been cancelled yet?
No, they've not had any. They've not had any cancels. You managed to get them all off. They've just not killed anybody.
Oh, okay, brilliant.
Well,
not so brilliant, but
yeah.
You know what I mean?
They've had impact. There's not enough to get full kills yet, which has been problematic for Singularity.
And that sponge we were talking about on Singularity, you can definitely see now on the side lane, it's starting to get fully soaked up with the water leaking out of it. Now there's 2 items on the Aatrox. Storage Gauge has been lifted up as well. This, not Ruby Crystal, Kindle Gem.
Yes.
Is obviously one of the components for Spirit Visage as well. And once that goes through, it's going to be even more difficult to deal with them.
And this mid lane tower is 1 auto away from falling. Does so. Yepe gets rooted, but there won't be any further damage. And last outer tower down, and that sponge is being consistently put under a lot of pressure. The map is smaller. The jungle, you can see a straight line of red wards halfway through the entire jungle of Singularity right now.
And now just looking at the map state, side lanes getting pushed in by Backlund, by Aleb up towards the top side. This will allow them to get this good aggressive vision we always talk about around the objective setups. And this should allow them to just take the front to back when the fight finally comes through.
Tatui's going to get rooted there by the Infernal Chains, takes a bit of a chunk, and of course Aatrox can just wail on you for free here, gets the Conqueror stacked, and Venza might be in a spot of bother. Remember, no flash, gets slowed by the Wall of Pain. Here comes everybody else. Yepe Hao going to get rooted in place, and look at Backlund over the back end here, going to drop forward onto Spiky, so much damage. Stays alive for now, Aleb into the back end of this all, as Porp still alive somehow. Dawning Shadow saves lives for a moment, because that Shockwave just doesn't get what they want done. 1 for none, but it is absolutely in Dusty's favor.
Let's be real, even if it hit, it wasn't going to do anything. Aatrox still full HP.
Muta surely about to fall. Dancing shoes on, he gets out.
Close one. Drake does spawn in 1 second, but who cares? Baron is up. Let's go for that one instead. Pop, no flash any longer on the Karthus. Walking into the pit. Should, realistically speaking, not happen. And with the members of Dusty, they should be able to take care of the Baron. I wonder, though, on the other side of the map, will Singularity be able to take care of the Drake? It is an objective bounty, and it would give you a little.
They're moving over that way now. They're going to see whether they can pick it up. I'm sure Porp would like to pick up some Raptors on the other way. He's been stuck at this 150 CS mark now for a while because there's just not been many options in terms of securing farm with how little control of the jungle they had. That Requiem came through as a...
You know, I can respect that. Yeah. Imagine if the Ludens proc stole the Baron because they didn't actually smite it.
Muta, I just don't know whether you want to be there, my man. He's going to try and get Backlund's clone. That's not what you want to do. They get the objective bounty, but it's now a 5 versus 4 backline, pretty low, but remember there's a Yuumi available. In goes the rest of Dusty. Decent route, though, is not bad. Yepe gets out, and they're pulling the retreat. They're going to continue chasing forwards. It's not a bad disengagement. Spikey's just gone. Backland deletes him. Paul hopping forward, trying to get some more done with the Desolations, but it's just not enough.
And who's going to kill this Aatrox?
No,
like,
no one. They don't have the
ever
damage.
going to kill this Aatrox? He starts the fight, gets low, gets fully healed again, Steric Cage pops, the Yuumi heals you up. I mean, it's just such a difficult situation to deal with. And now I'll drop the ball completely. I don't think Singularity's draft is giving them too much agency. I think they've put themselves in a very difficult situation where you can't properly front or back. Even with Orianna, when the burst comes down, you're not going to do too much against the Aatrox because you have double AP. These are going to be itemizing against this. And the center in the backline, with her burst of damage coming out so slow as it does, it's going to be easy for an Aatrox and a Yuumi to heal it back up again. So I think it is just Singularity backs up against the wall now, presented with an impossible situation to get out of.
It's so tricky, and maybe if that Aatrox wasn't 307, it might be a bit different. He might be a bit more killable, but as it stands, that is a very healthy looking scoreboard for the top side of the map there for Dusty. It's an unkilled Yuumi who's on everybody. They're just going to get a devour off to Spikey, who is going to have nowhere to go at all. It's a decent shield from the Locket of the Iron Solari, and he will survive and trade for Yepe as Viking hops forward on a wall, gets down that Dragon Rage. Backland just hops straight into the Black Mist and murders them with the Distortion. And now Viking's just chasing forward, so there's just no way to stop the dive. The Brawlers are online. The Yuumi is there to keep them all healthy. It's just a cat playing with their food, and that feels appropriate considering the champions involved.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And this game is just done and dusted, if you may say so. As you can already see, they're taking care of the last side lanes here as well, and it's just a matter of time at this point. The composition of Singularity, there is no way you're taking any of these members down. I'm sorry, but I have to completely outrule it with the amount of damage there is right now. They're too far ahead of Dusty, and it's just a matter of time before they're closing this one out.
Well, to counter your little pun, it's ashes to ashes, it's Dusty to dust. They're crushing this game. It's last right for Singularity right now. There is anybody plus Yuumi on this team could run through this option. They're going to try and get onto Venza, but Backland just walks onto 2 and nearly deletes the entire of Spikey's health bar. The Requiem will come through, but it's just not going to do enough damage. They're diving Nexus turrets, for heaven's sake. Double kill for Aleph on the Aatrox. He'll stay alive. Porp goes into the afterlife. They get a route onto Yepe. They've thrown that final chapter. They might have a fountain laser that offers half of Aatrox's HP bar, and that's still not enough to get anywhere near killing the goddamn monster of the Darkin right now. He's not just an enemy, he is the enemy, and Singularity can find nothing in this game. Dusty close it out.
Well, they're definitely still trying to. They're still playing with their food a little bit and, you know, trying to find the last kills. Death timers are fairly low, I'm not going to lie to you.
You know?
So they could be a little bit...
There's a hand knocking on that coffin right now. We're not dead yet, yell Singularity. They're trying so desperately to play. But there's one final hammer blow, and they close that final nail in.